what seems like a scam but isn't. Programs that help you save for a down payment on a house. I used one of these. They had me take a class on personal finance, open a savings account with the bank the program was through, then they matched what I put in every month up to a certain limit so long as I used it within a year to make a down payment on a house. At the end I walked away from that program with a check for nearly $12,000 and closed on my first house a couple weeks later. Yep, I get at least a free flight every year just BC. I use my rewards credit card for every purchase and just pay it in full every paycheck. When I bought a car I even put $5,000 on the credit card. Only BC, that's the max the dealer would allow. That alone was almost a cheap one way to a nearby city. I put every bill I can, insurance, cell phone, internet, etc., on my credit card and just pay it every month. I'm paying those bills anyways. Might as well. I pay for pretty much everything with it. Of course it's vitally important to responsibly pay it off and stick to it. It can be easy to start saying, well, this month I'll pay a little less but I'll make up for it next month, and that's when the trouble starts. MX was a revelation and a half for me. My spending doesn't have to go up. I don't have to go into any kind of severe debt. For the one I've got, I also don't have to pay an annual fee. Literally all I have to do is transact on that card rather than my debit, and in return I get free air miles. On top of that, the big multi-million-pound petrol company, fast food outlet, supermarket chain or e-commerce giant is the one that takes the hit, financially. I would never use it for smaller local or independent merchants. Same. If there's no annual fee, and no extra fee charged by the business for using the card, then I'll put regular expenses on it. Whether I have the card or not, I'm not going to stop having a cell phone plan, or eating, or driving my car. It makes no financial sense to not use a credit card. I'm in Canada so our cards have pathetic rewards for the most part, but hey, getting 1 to 3% back as free money every month, usually goes towards paying the bill raffle, is appreciated. What is a scam, at least in Canada, is the non-cash free stuff, for example Apple products, that you can redeem the rewards for, because the number of points needed to redeem the item usually translates to a cash equivalent that is well over the MSRP. It would be absolutely stupid to redeem the points directly when you could just buy the product at MSRP and then pay your bill with the points and still have leftover points. This was a thing recently in Dublin. People were grabbing ducklings out of the canals and selling them to kids, young teens, for like 10 quid. The ducklings usually died, having been roughly separated from their mother, and warnings were issued all over the news to tell your kids not be buying ducklings off Rondo scumbags. Hear me out. When I was in my early 20s and was just starting my career, I thought the employer match 401k thing was some hidden scam thing that would be more expensive for me. Like, why would a company just match your contributions and give you free money? I did not have great financial education or help in my younger years. If you're young and haven't started doing this, fucking do it. It's not a scam and it's legit. Compound interest, especially when you invest in a basic index fund. Tiny expense ratio. Money just appears. Note that just because it says it's an index fund doesn't mean it is a good choice. Some are traps. The simplest, in the US, is Vanguard's 0.05% expense ratio. Some company retirement plans offer this as an option with its tiny expense ratio, that is without glomming on overhead. From 2017 to this post, 17.5% return just copying the S&P 500. A third of the value of the account came passively as I made steady contributions every month. You don't have to pick stocks, watch some subreddit, time your buys. It just works. Are there legal, ethical ways to make more money faster? Absolutely. You might hit a home run on a meme stock or crypto, win the lottery, change jobs. But index funds with monthly contributions are brain dead simple, and over the average working person's life will accumulate a vast amount compared to what was put in, as it takes advantage of a snowball effect. The only way for it to not work is for the whole stock market to take a total sustained crap, which even in the Great Depression, didn't last. Pack your money into index funds. The good ones are the slowest to go down when there's a financial crisis and the fastest to recover. The epiphany will come one day when the market hiccups up a bit, like say 1%, and you make as much on that day as you used to make in a month in your garbage retail/restaurant/job. You will lose that money later that week, month due to market fluctuations, but at year's end you'll notice in aggregate you'll make a lot more. Historically, the S&P 500 doesn't normally return 17.5%. It's closer to 10%, but that still means your money doubles every 7 years even if you don't put money in. An amount like $1,000 with $200 added to it every month will become almost $21,000 in 7 years, and that's after inflation and taxes. I've gotten many checks in the mail because I was party to a class action lawsuit. The check is often for less than the postage they paid to send me the check. I got yet another and threw it in the trash without opening it. Later I decided to take a peek, so I could have another story about a ridiculously small payment. Turned out to be several $1,000s, for the case where Bay Area tech companies were conspiring to not poach each other's workers. Oh man, I have this one. I live in NC with a pretty famous rich guy who likes giving money away. My brother and I drove past a bank advertising free money inside. He wanted to stop, but I said it was probably something stupid like a credit card. Turns out it was Libber handing out literal handfuls of cash to anyone who came inside. I still can't watch that video because it makes me so frustrated with myself. It seems like a scam at first. Some libraries ask for your address and where you work or study, to ensure you're in their catchment area. I have to bring in proof of my address too? And then, I can take any book I want as long as I promise to bring it back? Wait, I can take 14 out, and e-books too? And if you don't have what I want, you'll get it from another library or even buy a copy for the collection. Just because I fancy reading it. I've been using libraries for 46 years and still haven't found the catch. But I'm sure there is one, any day now. I even became a librarian to investigate from the inside. It's $25 per year now, but it is loaded with features. My mom is 90 years old, so when she moved to a senior living place, we got her Magic Jack so she could keep the phone number she's had for 50 years. Mom is confused by robocalls, so I turned on the Magic Jack call screener feature, and she doesn't get those anymore. I used it back when I had limited cell phone minutes. I used to work for Sears. The protection plans actually REALLY helped a lot of people I sold stuff to because no appliance companies make stuff that lasts anymore. About 10% of our stock was DOA and the manufacturer warranty was so thin you could sneeze on a dryer and you'd be out of luck without the protection plan. It sucked. But I was upfront and honest about the reliability, and I, a young brainless teenager, held the highest sales and fewest returns the entire time I worked there. We had a guy that used to only get paid on commission for 10 years join the force. He couldn't hold a candle to my numbers and he was so mad. But yeah, protection plans. Scam of the past, necessity of the now. Sucks, but better to be with it than not. I sold protection plans at Kmart. Some of them were a little ridiculous, but they probably could have helped some people. I realized that a $3 protection plan on a pair of $10 headphones is a little ridiculous, but I used to go through headphones like water. If you bought that $3 plan, the price was rated for the cost of the item, and pretty much all electronics had a plan attached to them. You could have brought the headphones back in any condition and gotten a free pair for only the $3 cost of the plan. This was also before online shopping, and they actually honored their plans. Some people actually do need the protection plan for items. Other people do not. If you have kids or pets, you probably need the protection plan for stuff. I cringe at the times a child has thrown a Wii remote into a TV or a pet has put their paws on a TV. But a protection plan could have solved these things. Yes, if you have kids, everything gets more expensive. If you live alone and are the only user and you aren't a klutz, Like me, you probably don't need a plan for your stuff. Amazon offers some pretty cheap protection plans for stuff. I got a $4 plan for a set of headphones myself, and I never buy protection plans. Apple Protection Plan is a necessity. I've saved $2,700 because my computer had some mystery screen glitch and then one day died after having it for 1.5 years. They told me that they run diagnostics on every computer before selling, but there is always a % of computers with a factory defect. It was a new glitch for them. They wanted to study my computer and replaced mine for free. Had I not had the plan, I would have been screwed sadly. I did mystery shopping regularly pre-COVID and made about the same easily, more if I really hustled. I've done mystery shop jobs at high-end restaurants, my favorites, casual dining, fast food, grocery stores, gas stations, free gas, the post office, wine and spirits shops, free booze, car dealerships, test drove some nice cars, but those were honestly more nerve-wracking than they were worth. And retail. I used to pick a pretty location with a scenic drive, then pick up enough jobs to make the trip worthwhile and enjoy a nice hike while I was out there. Recently started picking up curbside jobs, had a nice steak dinner for very little work this weekend. Some jobs don't pay well, but the perks are worth it, like the booze jobs, miss those. That company went out of business when the owner died, still waiting on a settlement from that but not holding my breath. And the restaurant jobs. If interested, check out the MSPA to find legit companies. If you do purchase shops, where you pay out of pocket and wait for reimbursement, don't spend more than you could afford to lose and follow the guidelines very carefully. I've worked for about 25 companies and only ever had a handful of issues. Once I went to a wrong location when there were two very close by each other, no out-of-pocket expense but wasted time with no pay, and the aforementioned company that went out of business owing me about $400 that month. I am looking into this as a second job kinda. I'm looking at Best Mark Company. The site is asking me to put in my social security number and banking information. I know it's a scam. If tells you need to pay them, then they pay you, or wire them money. I know that is a scam, but it's just asking me for bank information and social. I know you need to get paid, but should I put in this information? Playlist Cloud. It's a service where they pay you for recording yourself playtesting games and giving feedback. It's not like other apps where you have to use it for months just for a $5 gift card. They pay you per playtest session anywhere between $8 to $13. 100% legit, and I earned about $20 plus I was sent more games to playtest that I never tried. The proof is that I used that money to buy Steam games. I had retreads come apart on me in a van full of kids on the top of Snoqualmie Pass in Washington state. It started coming apart and throwing rubber at the undercarriage. I pulled over to check out the noise, and the tire looked fine from the outside, but when I reached around to feel the backside, half of the tread was missing. While it's generally not practical to fill your tires with nitrogen instead of regular air, filling the spare tire with nitrogen is a good idea. People always forget about the spare tire, and as time goes by it does deflate. But with nitrogen, that's slowed down quite a lot, and because spare tires tend to be less robust than regular tires, nitrogen handles sudden weight spikes better. In the US I have worked for 2 companies with unions, and both were managed terribly. I fully understand the benefit of unions and their purpose when properly implemented, but that really wasn't the case where I worked. One union charged minimum wage workers a $600 union membership fee, basically rendering their income to below minimum wage. This was one of the few businesses that hired no experienced teens. Local grocery store. I got the purpose of it, making sure the skilled workers in the bakery, meat and fish department, etc. received a livable wage, but to force part-time teens just trying to save up for a car or to have spending money after school was such a sucker punch. The second union was in the automotive field, working in a dealership in the shop. Because of the union I was unable to make a decent wage. I was new, so despite my experience and good work ethic I was paid pretty close to shit. The union dues went up 1 year with no say from anyone in the shop. Union rep came around and said so union dues went up 10%, just letting you know. That union prevented the known pothead from getting fired when he blew up her new oil caddy all over a customer's car, 3 gallons over the outside and inside. He had all windows and sunroof open. Then he ran it through the car wash after being told by 3 people not to, and went home on one of the business days not to change, but for the day. He lived 5 minutes away. This union also blocked the newer guys from moving up when we showed promise and intent to learn. Anything that came through the quick service team that had any significant repair, suspension, engine oil leaks, transmission services or transmission pan seal replacement, etc., had to go to the main shop guys. The whole ticket minus the oil change. Basically, the quick service guys got 0.6 hours for the oil change and full inspection, and the 6+ hours of work they sold went to a senior tech. The end result was techs forgot to mention the major repairs needed, until they sold everything they could do without sending it to the main shop. So we had many pissed off customers who spent $1,000 on recommended maintenance items to find out when they went to pay that they really should have dropped $700 of that suggested maintenance in favor of the $800 major mechanical issue their vehicle really needed. In my experience in the US, unions protect the poor workers and fuck over the good ones. I know others in the trades who have confirmed they were instructed, threatened, to work slower because they were making the rest of the guys look bad. Now I'm in a different position in the automotive industry and have one client with the union. The fleet guys are constantly walking on eggshells and fighting to just get simple shit done because the union workers weaponize the union to resist change or efficiencies that have zero impact on their job. Example: switching the supervisor vehicles from light-duty pickups to SUVs when the supervisors have zero need for a pickup and the company is trying to meet or exceed emissions reduction targets. Where I do see potential for unions having a positive impact in the US is in government work, police, emergency responders, teachers, postal workers, etc. I've now been on both sides of union jobs, a worker in the union and someone at a higher level working with the union workforce, and the way they are implemented in the US in most cases is not focused on promoting talent or increasing efficiency, but instead are all about the workers controlling the workplace with zero consideration for how their productivity directly impacts the business's ability to increase wages or bring on new staff. COVID-19 contact tracing. I've been working as a contact tracer with a local health department this entire pandemic. Thanks to a bunch of robot scholars and scammers, people don't trust health departments as much. There have been plenty of people that didn't want to talk to me out of fear of sharing information. We don't ask for any credit card information. We don't ask for your SSN. We don't even ask about your citizenship status. All we are trying to do is stop the spread of the virus and make sure you know how to stay safe if you've been exposed. At most we want to know maybe 4 things. 1. Correct spelling of your name. 2. Best contact information. 3. What county you live in because each county is in charge of monitoring its own residents, and resources can be local and only work with local residents. And 4. DOB. We ask for DOB just so that we can try to distinguish between people with same names, and as a way for us to help verify that we are always speaking to the correct person so that we do not spread misinformation or share any of your personal information with someone that isn't you. Once we contact someone, we educate and assist them to stop the spread any further and to stay safe. We also set people up with a symptom tracker when they are exposed and need to quarantine. This way we can track the spread of the virus and get a clearer picture on how bad it is, but also help you keep an eye on your health and know all the symptoms to look out for. Through contact tracing we have learned different symptoms that are clear signs that you probably have COVID. For example, loss of smell was something that was figured out through contact tracing. We also help connect people to local resources if they need help during these trying times. Things like food, rent/mortgage assistance, shelter for those without, and other needs that someone might have. We have specialists for this kind of stuff in my county that I work for. If you are contacted by someone saying that they are from the health department, just give them a chance and hear them out. Even if you are vaccinated people should still monitor themselves for symptoms 14 days after an exposure because there is still a chance they could become positive. The pandemic is not over yet, people. There are variants and the vaccines are not 100%. We are getting closer to the end, but we can't just drop our guards.